Canto 5, is it a new peak for Limbus Company, or does it fall to that amazing finale that we got when Yi Sang spread his wings? I don't want to linger too much with the intro this time. So, much like Canto 5, let's crash straight into why Canto 5 is a masterclass in what makes Project Moon games get better over time. So, where should I start? When it comes to Canto 5, well, I could think of no better place than with the character that the Canto revolves around. When we are introduced to Ishmael, she is a bit distanced from us, but she is trying to judge whether or not we are worthy to even be in her presence. And damn, does she have presence. I mean, her hair could probably cover the entire bus all at once. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Coming into this game, just the fact that her intro screen said, "Call me Ishmael," had me happy beyond belief due to some childhood memories. I used to stay at my grandparents' house over the summer, and at least twice a visit I would watch Matilda. This movie led me to read the book Moby Dick, and having that nostalgia coming in made Ishmael my favorite character from the beginning of this game. However, the most important thing most people probably didn't notice in her origins was this small little blurb down on the bottom of her introduction screen. This one line here basically gives you everything you need to know about the character. In Canto 2, you already broken her trust and gets me to question how deep that well of patience she is supposed to have. But from that point on, it's one never-ending quest to regain her trust in us. Obviously, the further we get into the game, the more backlog of info we're going to have on each of the characters before we get into their canto. And with Ishmael, we have 4 cantos and 2 intervalos of info that could control what we think of her. But did anything she do in the past really affect what I thought of her before going into this canto? Well, her distance makes it hard to care about her despite her being my favorite character. But even then, she had moments where she truly shined. In Canto 4, she saves Dante from a gooey fate, showing that even though she don't trust us, she is still loyal to her contract at the very least. Then we have the C intervalo. Leading into Canto 5, I've already done a video on that section. Check it out. I'll pop it up on screen now. Go check out the video after this one. But needless to say that they did a great job of showing the possible instabilities in her psyche, and made drooling at the prospect of getting more information coming into this canto. If my videos keep you drooling for more, or if you just want to see my instabilities, you should like the video and subscribe. We are so close to my editor Mons being able to have 3 meals a day instead of just a cup of ramen a day. Now that my editor has been taken care of, we all know that Project Moon is good at storytelling, and each time we get more story, we get more new and sometimes cool characters. This canto is no different, but not all are as impactful as others. So which character stood out in this canto? And who was there but didn't matter as much? Well, in the latter category, we have Pilot, a skittish member of the LCCB, who, other than being a bit of a disappointing MacGuffin in the story, does let us know that Effie survived her ordeal in the 3rd canto. So that's good. Which is a bit of a double-edged sword though. But it's good news to alleviate the guilt of some of the sinners, including Ishmael. We run into a whole Peter Pan reference in the early stages of the canto with the Twin Hook Gang, who is ran by Smee, apparently another heartthrob of the community, if the response I got in the chat was anything to go by. And I know she is not really in charge, but even she alludes to the fact that Hook doesn't do shit, so cut me a little slack. It's nothing to hook into as an argument. Her connection to the at this point still mysterious middle makes her just dangerous enough to respect, even if she don't have what it takes to beat the sinners. Honestly guys, these first 2 groups could be considered a bit of padding for the canto if you think about it. In the end, we get led to a location where we find out that the golden bough we've been looking for is in a different castle. But unlike Canto 4, where the beginning of the canto just feels so meh, this one built up quite a bit of lore in the game, including, but not limited to, characters that I'll mention here but I will not go into detail about until later in the video. The real showstoppers of this whole Canto are the likes of everyone's favorite big brother Ricardo, which you guys have been propping up since I beat Dom back, who held up his reputation amazingly. I will say you guys that watch the streams are evil though. My first 2 attempts were handicapped. Can't believe you paid me to try to win rate and a don't read anything attempt. If I go by the times I wasn't shackled, it took me 3 times to beat this man down also, just like Donback. Other showstoppers are the Old Man Indigo and the entire crew of the Pequod, but I will talk about them later. But with every standout and main character in the Canto mentioned, what the hell is the story of the Canto actually about? Honestly, let me ask you a question. Have you seen the movie John Wick? Okay, well, minus the dog, add less mercy, and with no real safe zones, and you have Canto 5. Complete with going to a club to annihilate all the gangsters, or pirates if you prefer. If I had to say it in 4 words, it would be Crash Out, the Canto. We saw this building up from the previous interval as Ishmael was crashing out a bit there, with her being worried that we are not really ready, not planning for the lakes enough, and starting fights with the likes of Heathcliff, saying how he expected more from Ishmael, and that she wouldn't be a brute like him. So, I suppose we'll have something addressing that in Canto 6, but we'll see when we get there. For the quickest rundown in PM history, let's just say we learn about how the lakes work, try to meet up with the LCCB team, find out that they've been kidnapped and go on a one center destruction campaign, make possible enemies of the middle to get our Lobotomy Corporation location, and just to find out that, again, our Golden Bow is in the titular White Well. Fight the leader of the gay nightclub. I mean, he may not be, but the whole time I was told that the guy's name was Ricardo. This old meme was all that was going on in my head. So, anyway, just to come up with a plan to get eaten by the White Well, Pinocchio style, meet the crew Ishmael knows personally, and get our treasure. Now, that was a massive bastardization. I know, and there's plenty I want to go over in more detail. So, fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Don't you do it.
I'ma do it.
Don't you do it. Damn it!
In that quick breakdown, I mentioned the lakes and the fact that we learn how they work. And guys, well, what the hell is this place, honestly? The lakes are more confusing than time zones in the states, and we have 2 states that don't follow them, and that have a massive time swap when you approach them due to their insanity. I'm looking at you, Arizona. I don't care how good your goddamn tea is. Anyway, depending on predetermined times, you may or may not be in a section of the lake at the wrong time. If caught in the wrong time, you get attacked by nightmare wells. Seriously, wish I had my giant crabs back at this point, but no, it's just wells. They're infested with mermaids, not beautiful half fish, half women, but more like the one from Cabin in the Woods. Honestly, other than a few new factions like the Twin Hook Pirates, the only thing new here that I really give a crap about on the tech tree is the singularity of U-Corp. Its ability to fuse ships together or defuse them. Guys, I'm about to have to stop asking questions and completely suspend my disbelief. I'm starting to think Limbus Company and its tech has the ability to do anything, and there is nothing I can do about it. Well, if it goes into more detail somewhere, let me know, guys, because it's so flippantly dropped like, oh yeah, it's raining and ships confuse here. One place I don't have to suspend any disbelief for is also my favorite section of each Canto, and that's the horror aspect of the game. One is sadly so real it sends shivers down my spine thinking about it. I don't do this often, but due to the real world implications in this section, you might want to skip ahead about 45 seconds or so if you don't want to hear it. So, if you have ever traveled the world, you might have seen this, and I saw so much of it when I was in the Navy that I wanted to be a bit more serious here. A core of the Twin Hook Pirates operation is extortion and human trafficking, kidnapping those that they think they can make money on to sell them to those who can pay the highest price. Normally, this is just a thing bad guys do in a game. But the fact that there are now more slaves on the planet than ever before due to very similar situations to what these guys put their victims through, this is a very real horror for millions today. a horror that you can actually help rectify. Remember, if you see something, say something. It might save a life. Now, from horrible truths of the world to something a bit more gaming centric, this Canto teaches us not only about whales and mermaids, but how the latter is created. And let me tell you, Project Moon knows a thing about body horror. We were shown this all the way back in the first Canto, but now we have to worry about the juices of a whale getting on us. Why? Well, because we become these monstrosities if we do. At first, we just become these white walkers that only attack others, but soon enough, we transform into these slug-like monstrosities. Well, didn't they say there is a whale ice cream? Isn't the oil safe after they are dead? No, falling in can cause everything that made you, well, you. Which really makes me ask if that ice cream has any negative side effects on one's psyche. And I mean, guys, do you need me to mention the last big horror thing? There was literally a movie called Ghost Ship. And while it wasn't the best horror movie, even it has representation here with Project Moon. Now, I think it's left vague on purpose, but our quest to find Sinclair on the party boat, we see some of its victims floating in the air and are damn near approached by the deadlights ourselves as we make a mad dash back to the rest of the sinners, Sinclair in tow. You know who probably wish they could have ran like a group of cockclairs when a certain badass made his grand appearance? Well, all of the sinners, duh. Except maybe Ishmael's hyper crashing out self, that is. I'm going to say it here. I know most of the community will frown at me for this, but I don't care. Keep it up, guys. Keep telling me about the cool upcoming bosses, if you must. At least keep them in the Canto that I'm in at the very least. The buildup I felt coming into this fight was better than that of which I felt going even into the Don Beck fight. I know I made fun of this man earlier, but the amount of ridiculous lusciousness he brings to the fight, all over the fact that Heathcliff stole his damn hair coupons, is the most off-the-wall reason to put the whole of the sinners in his death book. It's just peak Project Moon, in my opinion. Ishmael literally being too mad to die in his fight is just more perfection to the writing of this Canto. And right when the fight looked like it was going to end, and even Dante was going to die, someone on the horizon saves the day. Fitting that the one more badass than Ricardo was an old man touting the same weapons as Ishmael, and almost as crazy as a soon-to-be brought-up captain when it comes to bringing down one good old Moby Dick. However, before we even can think about getting inside this Canto's dungeon, we see this geriatric fisher dismantle Ricardo by simply removing his massive harpoon from his shoulder. We have seen low-level fixers at work with Olga. We have seen mid-level fixers dismantle us with Siegfried. But the damage that a color fixer can put out impresses me, guys. I'm surprised Goku hasn't shown up for a sparring match yet. And you guys tell me that the star of the city is the strongest, or am I getting that wrong? Let me know below. Okay, guys. Ishmael noticed. I don't care what you guys have to say. These two are insane. Need proof? Well, the plan they come up with, working with the Indigo Elder, should be enough proof of that for you. And I foreshadowed this myself earlier because, like Pinocchio and Geppetto before us, the whole plan is for us to allow Moby Dick to eat us so that we can attack with a literal pincer attack. The Indigo Elder from the outside, us from the inside. Otis, was this your plan? I'm only thinking this because due to a certain wooden horse in one of your stories, it seems like kind of your style. Oh, and don't forget the contingency plan. If we are to fail to get the Golden Bough back, or make a return, the cavalry's to show up and try to blow up Moby Dick with massive firepower to recover it. Because, fuck it, explosions are cool and we failed anyway. Yeah, who cares? Well, regardless of how crazy the plan is, it goes off without a hitch. Unlike Ishmael, once she sees a certain person that somehow has survived inside the well this whole time. And like a capsule of Hulk proportions of rage, all the hate and anger spill forth from Ishmael, and she attacks the captain of the Pequod. This is where the storytelling throughout the rest of the Canto has been leading to. Ishmael's righteous anger, her fears long gone, and the woman she most parallels standing before her, the gaslighting queen. No, that is a title too low for her. The gaslighting goddess herself, Captain Ahab. Unlike the other cantos where I felt I had to talk about what happened in great detail, the story of this canto is more about the undertones than it is about what is actually happening right in front of our face. With the dungeon, it's all about making our way through Moby Dick to kill the beast. The story is about Ishmael's trials and tribulations as a young woman finding herself, her first true love in Quake. Sorry if I said that wrong. The parallels of the family she made with the crew of the Pequod and Pip, Starbuck, and even Stubbs, to that of the fellow sinners that she hasn't realized yet in her new and true family. Speaking of parallels, all the way until the last moments of this dungeon, Ahab and Ishmael could have been swapped, and their stories are basically the same. Where Ahab had a blind obsession with taking down Moby Dick, Ishmael's dick was Ahab. And yes, you know what that sounded like. Get your mind out of the gutter. Both of these strong women are good at similar things. Harpooning, check. Sailing, check. Gaslighting, hear me out. Both women did convince their crews to get eaten by a giant whale. What else would you call it? All the way until the final decision where Ahab was willing to sacrifice her crew to get to her end goal. They were the same. But this is where the main difference is in these women. Ishmael, instead, values the life of not only her current sinners, even though as long as Dante don't die, death doesn't really matter for the sinners, but she still cares about Ahab's crew so much that her Hulk rage reignites when we finally enter the final stage of her fight. Now guys, as a tangent, the amount of luck I had in these fights should be studied. 6 overclocks and only 1 corrosion, and it didn't even negatively affect my fight. Call it streamer luck or whatever, but that was nuts. Finally, after overcoming her past, letting go of it, and embracing herself as the person she is now, Ishmael is literally reborn, truly as a sinner, instead of taking a beaten and broken down Ahab's life. She instead takes the creature that drove all of Ahab's ire, probably her entire life, out, killing the captain's driving force, and to be honest, being a bigger kill stealer than Damien. But that's just subjective, honestly. Again, as always, as the harpoon for the final attack is loosed, the music crescendos, emotions start to rise, and everyone, even in the chat, exploded. As not only do we see the new peak of the game here, but we peaked a record on the channel with the live stream numbers here too. Honestly guys, I'll have to go through all of the games and really embrace the community like you guys have embraced me. Thank you all for being here. We do have a very controversial thing to argue about, but first, at the end of it all, Ishmael starts to turn into a mermaid until Heathcliff, who just saw that Ishmael may truly be better than him, and not as aggro and all that stuff, is the one who allows Ishmael to be reborn a second time in her life, this time as a true member of Limbus Company, as a true sinner in more than just name. Dante even managed to gain her trust back through this whole ordeal. Now, for what I've heard was a bit of controversy. Some say, due to Ishmael defeating Ahab, her contract is over, and she is only still here with Limbus Company to see how the story goes and what adventures she can be part of with her new family. Others say Ahab is not dead. Neither is the contract. Where do you fall on this debate? Keep it cool, but let us know down below. Well guys, the character who started as my favorite character due to my childhood is back on top for me. It will be hard for anything to beat what happened in this canto, but as always, we will continue with the game to see if Heathcliff or Hung Lu will surpass what we have done so far. I'm happy you guys have welcomed me into your community, and you guys are all invited into my community. The Discord is in the description, and we have a membership if you are willing to join. As a future announcement, we are working on a line of Welcome to the City merch, so keep your eyes open for the drop date on that. And as always guys, remember, be good to each other. See you in the next video. Peace.